For all the latest reviews, interviews, and everything entertainment in Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, and Telugu, subscribe to Film Companion South now.
Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Shyam Singha Roy, directed by Rahul Sankrityan. The film is on Netflix and it stars Nani, Krithi, Shetty, and the always wonderful Sai Pallavi. Now, the film is a reincarnation drama. What does this mean? It usually means that there is some unfinished business in the previous life and it has to be completed or taken care of in this present life. Now, that unfinished business has to do with the character played by Sai Pallavi, though the film takes its time getting to it because a lot of that is in the second half. In the first half, we have Nani playing a consumerist kind of director. That's the Nani that we meet first. He plays a double role in the movie, as you must have heard. Now, what do I mean by consumerist kind of director? He wears brand name clothes, but he is not yet a brand name director. So this is his plan. He wants to make a short film and show it to a producer who will hopefully be so impressed that he will say, look Nani, I'm going to give you crores and crores and crores of money so you can go and make your Mahesh Babu movie. That's the whole plan. But there is one interesting character trait, probably the only interesting character trait in this Nani, which is the first half Nani. The filmmaker, he is an idealist. He wants the film to be just like the film he has in his head. He auditions a lot of actors and rejects all of them because none of them are good enough. And this is just a short film that he's making. Finally, Nani sees Krithi Shetty. She's smoking and she's with a bunch of friends. It's a restaurant kind of place, I think. And he says, wow, look at her moves. Look at the way her body moves. Look at the way her face is. Look at her expressions. This is going to be my heroine. And this woman hasn't even auditioned for him. He just looks at her and says, this is my heroine. That is the level of genericness in the first half. Almost all the scenes, all the events are this generic. The way he asks Krithi Shetty to be in his movie, to act in his movie, which is supposed to be a bit of humor, that could have been written much better. The way he gets hit on the head and the reasons for this injury and the implications of this injury, all of that could have been written in a much better manner. The aftermath of this injury, which is a very important thing, that could have been written in a much better manner. The way his first feature film gets into problems, that could have been written in a much better manner. The lawyer character played by Madonna Sebastian could have been given much more to do, and so on and so forth. Generally, when I mean written, staged, everything. The whole thing happens in such a generic manner. It's like they're in a hurry to tick off one point after another in the screenplay and say, okay, I just need to get this part done, I just need to get this part done, and we finally get to the interval point. But the second half changed my experience of the film. Now let's take the scene where a group of Dalits are gathered around a well. They are not being allowed to draw water from the well. Now this scene has everything that was missing in the first half. We get a solid situation that lays a solid foundation for a very, very solid scene. And the best thing is that the scene has a solid, punchy conclusion in the best tradition of our masala cinema, and more. There's more, because this scene also slowly makes us enter the world that we are going to see in the second half of the film, and it gives us a solid introduction to the character who's going to take us through this world. Now this character, of course, is the second Nani. He is the Nani from the earlier life, and he is the person after whom this film is named. And suddenly a lot of color seeps into this so far bland story. I'm not talking about literal color alone. The cinematographer is Anujan Varghese and he's done some beautiful frames. But I'm also talking about the metaphorical color. The writing, the scenes and situations, the lovely dances, they're all very specific, very evocative, and, well, colorful. The Nani in the present day, that is the filmmaker Nani, is the usual Nani we get to see. But the Nani in the older times, he's a revolutionary and he has really worked on his look and the way he uses his body. He's revolutionary. He not only looks different, he also acts different. His face is filled with purpose. This is a solid performance. Nani does the macho thing just right without overdoing it. And yet, despite my complaints with the first half and the first Nani, the way he's been written, and my praise of the second half and the second Nani, the revolutionary Nani, look at how many similarities there are between the two characters. Both of them are artists, for one. This one's a filmmaker, and the one who's a revolutionary, he's a writer. Also note how both Nanis are idealists. This Nani wants to make the perfect film. This Nani wants a perfect world, one in which a character like Sai Pallavi can live with decency. Now, the character played by Sai Pallavi is a Devadasi, and she has excellent chemistry with Nani. There is love between them, but unlike the earlier pair, there is also a lot of restraint. I understand that the director wants to show a contrast, whereas that's the modern world where the filmmaker Nani is, so love means a lot. It's a lot different. Love plays out a lot differently than love would have played out in those olden day times when the revolutionary Nani existed. But still, the scene is really awful. This is how the love between the filmmaker Nani and his girlfriend is depicted. He brings her home to his bedroom and they start making out on his bed under a poster of this book. I thought I wrote a book on cinema, but whatever gets you off, man. In contrast, the writer Nani seduces Sai Pallavi with his revolutionary ideas. These scenes are quiet and they are very powerful. We see Sai Pallavi bloom like a sunflower getting light from the sun. At times, I felt like I was watching a gentle and progressive K. Vishwanath movie. I think there's a small film nerdism / Easter egg here. The older Nani, that is the revolutionary Nani, calls Sai Pallavi Rosie, even though her name is something else. And I think this is a reference to the dancer character played by Wahida Rahman in Guide. Her name was Rosie too, and her dancing was looked upon by some people, even there, as disreputable. The only weak part of the second half is when a villain appears in the form of a temple priest. All his actions are predictable, but I guess we need some kind of action. And then we realized that a bigger tragedy is in store. I was able to predict this, but it did not bother me too much. It's handled fairly well and it does its job well. And in the last bit of the movie, we return to the present and we get the link between the past and the present, the reason for the reincarnation. We get that, and I found it sentimental. But there was also one small little part of me that said, okay, this is actually the most logical conclusion to the melodrama around the story. This is the unfinished business that I was talking about earlier. And the story generally overall is good because you can make out the difference that Rahul Sankrityan has tried to make between the first half and the second half. I just wish the writing had been better. I just wish that the Nani and Krithi Shetty characters hadn't been made to look like caricatures. I just wish the film had taken a few tips from something like Magadhira, where the present was as powerful as the past. But like I said, the second half saves the movie, the Nani and Sai Pallavi parts, and like they say in show business, it's better to start weak and end strong rather than have a film the other way around. So that's it about Shyam Singha Roy. If you like this video, do subscribe to Film Companion South and see you soon at the movies.